As if you want to enter the art contest, you think you can ink, or you want to design a channel logo or t-shirt, send me an email at biancazombie602@gmail.com. If you're a beginning artist, no problem. I like crude art, so give it a shot. I will include the links up above. I found this article, okay, Nirvana, and they're trying to say that because the Las Vegas comic book scene is reportedly thriving, that I guess the comic industry isn't in the situation which it just very clearly is in. The important thing about this is that they interviewed two people who I guess are SJWs and are trying to sort of defend the wokeness of the wokey Mark Waid, Gail Simone, Dan and CB type of comic books. Okay, so they have a free event at a library. So those two words should stand out. Free and library, which typically circulate books for free. These events and others like them are indicators of a robust comic book culture in Nevada. Remember? Free. Keyword free. The Valley is home to a surprising number of comic book shops, two of which have been recognized nationally. Great. Do they still sell comic books? Do they sell everything but comic books? They also have a lot of comic book conventions held here. Well, it's in Vegas, prostitution's legal outside the city limits. And no, I've never. Okay, so you've got conventions. Again, what percentage of them are selling comic books and what percentage of them are selling everything else under the sun? Fans don't even have to spend money. Okay, that's not a good sign. This is a business. Comics are a business. So if you're saying people don't have to spend money to support your business, well, I think you're in a post-profit business model. Thanks to an ever-increasing number of ebook and print comics circulated through the library. Okay, so then how are you paying for these products? Believe it or not, unfortunately, as I found out to my chagrin, artists have to be paid. You can't keep them locked up in your basement. Release the artist, Ethan. Now, isn't that great? In potential contrast, New York and California, where both stores are closing, Nevada's doing relatively well. Wouldn't you know it, depending on the perspective, they interviewed some folks with rather awkward viewpoints. Okay, this is what caught my attention. Interview longtime fan Joshua Wilburn considers comic books repositories of homegrown American mythology. Not only are comics well written, but they've been around so long that they have such a rich history. Okay, fair enough. I would say not only were comics well written, but we'll see. He was accompanied on his free comic book day pilgrimage to alternative reality comics by his daughters. Okay, well, by the name of the store, I'm guessing it's kind of far left. A lot of people don't understand comic books. They think they're idiot books. But a lot of stories really touch on things going on right now. There are stories that talk about the politics going on, homelessness, and border problems. What does border problems mean? A sovereign nation trying to keep out third worlders from turning their first world nation into a third world that they came from? Is that what you're talking about? I'm guessing when you say politics, you mean far left politics, because Orange Man bad, right? OMG, Trump! Come on, can you just find your balls for once and just say what you mean? Okay, so you're saying comics are political propaganda, which most people don't like, but because they're far left political propaganda written by idiots like Mark Waid and Gail Simone and Thompson and all the rest of them who should just go to Russia and work on Pravda. A lot of things in our everyday life are incorporated into these stories. Yeah, that's the problem from two points. First of all, comics, people are buying them because they want escapist fiction. The best comics were written pre-90s. And because it took you away. And the second problem is it's coming 100% from a far left perspective. You think Ta-Nehisi Coates can do anything? Kwanzaa, Mark Waid, Ta-Nehisi Coates, you think they can do anything fair and balanced, impartial? No, of course not. Because they weren't, well, Ta-Nehisi Coates and Kwanzaa are not there on merit. They're there as just puppets, just with Mark Waid's hand up their ass, or whoever, I don't know, hired them. They're not there on merit because their stuff sucks. I mean, you don't believe me? Go read it for yourself. I think this guy holds his cards close to his chest, is alluding to right-wing politics. And if he's doing it from a negative viewpoint, then he might want to consider why in modern times certain people might consider them idiot books. Are you talking about Mr. Diversity in Comics, your boy from the Sunny D Factory? Yeah, the stuff that he's talked about and all the rest of us have talked about, yes, those are idiot books written by idiots for idiots. Well, I guess you can't really call someone who doesn't buy the book an idiot because people just don't buy this stuff. But I guess they're being sold to a library. So I guess our tax dollars are paying for it. That's great. Fan-frickin-tastic. Because if they're going to compound a viewpoint that liberal good and conservative bad, well, of course they are, then why should anybody be expected to understand much more than how corrupted they've become? In fairness, I'm sure homelessness is a valid problem, sure, in Democrat-run cities. But again, if border problems is the issue and he's hinting at it from a leftist perspective, okay. What do you mean border problems? If you had a wall, you wouldn't have a border problem. Oh, I want open borders. I want all these Mexicans to come in. Well, do you want them living in your neighborhood? Oh, fuck no. Are you out of your mind? No, hell no. Okay, then what are you saying? You want them to live not in my backyard? Yeah, pretty much. That's what you're saying. Comic book fans often point out that comic books aren't a genre; they're a medium. Catherine Keller, a comic book critic. God, what a pointless profession. Blogger. Okay, that's another pointless profession. And yes, I know the irony. And wife of alternative reality comic books owner Ralph. He keeps his own name. I'm surprised you didn't make your husband change his name. Assuming Ralph identifies as a man. It might be a lesbian relationship. They read comic books as a kid, left them behind as she developed other interests. Okay, so you read them for a few years. Oddly enough, that reminds me of Gail Simone, who she said she stopped reading. She read comic books for a few years. She stopped reading comic books when she entered high school, which was about 1987. And then she didn't read comic books again until she got hired to write. So, because she was writing, I think she was writing, romantic fiction, those women's jerk-off books, essentially. Which is really disgusting when you realize Gail Simone's about 200 pounds. So someone hired her to write garbage, and she gladly gave them garbage. Anyway, she discovered comics in 1991, working at bookstore, and began to wonder why people think these are not good. Well, hey, in 1991, they still were good. It wasn't until a decade later that they really just lost their freaking minds. And to be fair, a lot of it is Trump derangement syndrome. But it was getting bad before Trump derangement syndrome. It's just that 2015 put people over the edge. It just made them nuts. Some adults assume that comics can only be for small children. Well, yeah, but they're written by, perpetual cat moms who they treat their animals like their kids. They're going to be single forever. Or they're going to be sharing rooms with their partners or something. It's just the worst kind of people. So, they're written by juvenile, infantile minds. The only people who could possibly appreciate them are small children. Even then, you're talking about a very limited window when the small kids are looking at this garbage saying, something's not right about this comic. How come boys are so stupid in this comic? Kids will pick up on it within a few issues, and they'll just stop reading it. Oh, great. She's a founder of a woman's comic webzine, Sequential Tart. Oh, you. How risque you are. Sequential. Okay, whatever. So that's not a woman. Okay, putting woman in front of something just means you have a product that's not selling. We're a woman's writing group. So that means you guys aren't commercially successful. Yeah, pretty much. That's what it means. And she thinks, okay, because movies like The Avengers are changing people's minds about that comics aren't just for kids, we can tell stories that are morally complex. Interesting turn of phrase, morally complex, meaning espousing far left viewpoints. Come on, if we're just being honest here, you know what? I know it. That's what you mean. I wonder why this lady won't acknowledge hard truths. The movies haven't changed anyone's mind about the medium. There was a time when comics did confront hard issues, drug trafficking, crime, racism, whatever. Today it's more identity politics. And even, basically Orange Man bad, Trump, Republican, anything right of center, anything right of Stalin, Mao is bad. Sometimes something the movies under Kevin Feige are bound to become in the future. There's still bound to be people today who believe comics can only be for youngsters, despite how mainstream why haven't they Why haven't they capitalized on the fact that the movies are multi-billion-dollar industry and the comic book stores are literally closing? Why do you think they haven't capitalized on that? Because they cannot put down the axe for a minute. Anyway, Avi Green and Bleeding Fool are both on Twitter, and they're both pretty funny guys. So if you want to give Bleeding Fool a follow, you can find Avi Green, Bleeding Fool. They're very interesting characters. Anyway, guys, like, comment, subscribe, and send me your art at BiancaZombie602 at gmail.com. And I will see you guys next episode.